At 29 years old, King Harris has finally broken his silence, and the revelations are nothing short of explosive. For years, whispers floated around about tension between the rising star and his father. The legendary rapper T.I. fans speculated. Gossip blogs spun theories, but King himself never spoke. Until now. And what he has unleashed are allegations so shocking that the entire hip-hop world is holding its breath. This isn't just the story of a son and a father. This is the unraveling of a bond everyone once thought was unbreakable. King Harris has painted a picture of secrets, control, and betrayal that no one could have imagined existed within one of rap's most famous families. Overnight, he has turned private pain into a public storm, forcing the world to ask, who is the real T.I. behind the spotlight? Supporters are split down the middle. Some argue King is hungry for attention, fabricating stories to boost his own name. Others insist that this is the long-awaited truth, finally being dragged into the light after decades of silence. But the biggest question remains, why now? Why, after 29 years, has King Harris chosen to shatter the silence? Brace yourself, the story is just beginning. To understand the storm that King Harris unleashed at 29, we need to rewind the clock. The world has always seen him as the son of hip-hop royalty, the child born into luxury, fame, and spotlight. From the outside, life in the Harris household looked like a dream: mansions, music, and money. But behind the cameras and perfectly curated images on social media, there was a tension simmering for years. King Harris grew up under the shadow of his father, T.I., a man celebrated as one of the greatest rappers of his generation. For the fans, T.I. was a legend. For King, however, T.I. was not just a father. He was an authority figure, a perfectionist, and, at times, an obstacle. King would often be reminded of his father's success, his influence, and the expectations that came with carrying the Harris name. To the public, this sounded like privilege. But to King, it felt like a weight chained to his every move. From a young age, King dreamed of making his own mark in music. But the moment he tried, comparisons were everywhere. Interviews, podcasts, even casual fan comments online, all of them framed him as T.I.'s son. His music was judged not on its own merit, but against the colossal reputation of his father. Imagine trying to sing when the world keeps telling you your voice is nothing compared to the man standing next to you. That frustration boiled inside King for years. People close to the family claim the father-son duo often clashed behind closed doors. I believed in discipline, in structure, in molding King into the kind of man he thought his son should become. But the King was restless. He wanted freedom. He wanted to carve his own lane without being suffocated by a legacy that wasn't fully his. Small arguments grew into shouting matches, and shouting matches turned into days of silence. Friends of King recall moments when he would disappear from the spotlight, vanishing for weeks at a time, only to reappear with cryptic posts on social media, hinting at betrayal and pain. At the time, fans brushed it off as normal celebrity drama. But those closest to him now say those posts were coded cries for help, breadcrumbs that pointed to a bigger story brewing beneath the surface. One of the most telling signs came during his early 20s, when King tried to drop independent tracks without using his father's label or connections. The songs never made it far. Rumors swirled that T.I. had blocked certain opportunities, insisting that if King was going to succeed, it would be under his guidance and not on his own terms. Whether those rumors were true or exaggerated, they fueled King's resentment. Every missed chance, every door slammed in his face, became another mark against his father in King's heart. The media also played its part in this slow-burning fire. Tabloids loved to pit the two against each other, publishing speculative stories about father-son rivalry. King would scroll through headlines that mocked him as a spoiled rich kid trying to rap, while T.I. was painted as the untouchable mogul. It was a script written without King's consent, and he was forced to play a character he hated. As the years rolled on, King's silence became louder. He didn't speak out, but his body language told a different story. Cold stares in interviews, distance in family photos, awkwardness at public events. Observers noticed. But no one dared to say the quiet part out loud. The Harris household wasn't as perfect as it looked. By the time King turned 29, the pressure cooker had reached its breaking point. He had spent nearly 3 decades biting his tongue, watching his father's empire grow, all while his own voice was buried under expectations and control. To him, enough was enough. The world thought he was simply T.I.'s son. King wanted them to know he was more than that tan to do so. He was willing to set fire to everything. This was the buildup, the calm before the storm, the years of tension that no camera captured. Now, with the spotlight firmly on him, King Harris was finally ready to speak his truth, or at least, his version of it, and what came next would shake the entire foundation of hip-hop royalty. When King Harris finally stepped forward to speak, nobody expected the intensity of what he was about to reveal. It wasn't just a son venting about disagreements with his father. No, what King dropped felt like a grenade thrown straight into the heart of the Harris empire. He sat in front of the camera, eyes sharp, voice steady, and began with a chilling line. "People think I had it easy because of my last name. They don't know the truth. My life has been a prison built by my own father." The words immediately spread like wildfire. Blogs clipped the video. Fans rushed to Twitter, and within hours, King Harris was trending across platforms. But the real storm came when he laid out his allegations. According to King, Thea wasn't just a strict father, he was controlling to the point of suffocation. King claimed that every move he made, every career decision, and even friendships were monitored and dictated. "I wasn't allowed to breathe unless he said so," King alleged. He painted a picture of a life where independence was crushed under the weight of T.I.'s expectations. But that wasn't the only bombshell. King alleged that behind the glamour of fame, there were darker moments of manipulation that scarred him emotionally. He accused his father of dismissing his dreams, laughing at his lyrics, and telling him he'd never measure up. To the fans, T.I. was an inspirational figure. To King, he was a wall blocking every exit. In one particularly shocking claim, King recounted an incident where he tried to sign a deal with an independent label in Atlanta. He said the deal was mysteriously canceled days later, and the executives suddenly stopped taking his calls. "I later found out my own father was behind it," he said, voice trembling. "He couldn't handle the idea of me succeeding without him. That's not a father, that's a competitor." The allegations didn't stop there. King suggested that T.I. cared more about protecting his image than protecting his family. He accused him of using family events as photo ops, creating the illusion of unity while ignoring the fractures at home. "We smiled for the cameras, but behind closed doors, we were broken," King declared. Social media went into a frenzy. Fans dug up old interviews where King seemed distant, old clips where his body language screamed discomfort, and family moments that suddenly looked staged. Some believed King's words, saying the puzzle pieces now made sense. Others defended T.I., calling King ungrateful, spoiled, and desperate for fame. The hip-hop community was equally divided. A few artists voiced their support for King, hinting that they, too, had witnessed the tension. Others criticized him, saying family matters should stay private. "Airing out your pops in public. That's low," one rapper tweeted. But perhaps the most explosive part of King's allegations came near the end of his video when he said, "People think my father built me up. The truth is, he broke me down over and over again. And now I'm done being silent. The world deserves to know who he really is." Those words ignited a firestorm. Journalists scrambled for T.I.'s response. Fans camped on his social media, waiting for a statement. Memes, hashtags, and debates consumed the internet. Overnight, the Harris name wasn't just associated with rap greatness, it was tangled in scandal still. Questions lingered. Was King telling the full truth? Or was this a calculated move to carve his own identity? Was this genuine pain spilling out, or a publicity stunt crafted to sell music? One thing was undeniable. With these allegations, King Harris had officially stepped out of his father's shadow. For better or worse, he had made the world listen to his voice, and the fallout was just beginning. The fallout was just beginning. The fallout from King Harris's bombshell allegations was instant, loud, and impossible to ignore. The moment his words hit the internet, shockwaves rippled through the music industry, the fan base, and even the broader entertainment world. What had once been whispers and speculation was now front-page drama, tearing open the carefully polished image of one of hip-hop's most admired families. Inside the Harris household, silence spoke louder than words. Sources close to the family claimed the atmosphere was tense, with members forced to choose sides in a battle no one expected to be public. Tiny King's mother was reportedly devastated. On one hand, she had always stood by her husband, T.I., through controversy and triumph. On the other, she could see the pain in her son's eyes and understood his hunger to be heard. The siblings, too, were caught in the middle. Some defended King, insisting he had every right to finally speak his truth. Others worried he had crossed a line that could never be erased. The family unity, once used as a marketing image, was now fractured in real life. Every move they made, every Instagram post, was dissected by fans searching for signs of who stood with whom. Among the fans, the debate grew heated. Hashtags like #StandWithKing and #ProtectT battled for dominance on Twitter. Comment sections were flooded with arguments. Some called King brave, saying it takes immense courage to challenge a powerful father like T.I. Others accused him of betrayal, insisting no amount of frustration justified publicly tearing down the family. Old interviews resurfaced where King looked visibly uncomfortable, where T.I. spoke over him or dismissed his comments. Fans rewatched them through a new lens, fueling theories that King had been dropping subtle hints for years. Meanwhile, diehard supporters of T.I. launched their own campaigns, painting King as a spoiled child desperate for relevance. The media wasted no time in capitalizing on the scandal. Headlines screamed about family feuds and shocking confessions. Talk shows dissected the drama, with experts weighing in on toxic family dynamics, celebrity parenting, and generational trauma. Late-night comedians turned it into material, joking about the Harris Thanksgiving dinner turning into a rap battle. But the real damage came from the relentless coverage. The more the story spread, the harder it became for either side to control the narrative. Every silence from T.I. was interpreted as guilt. Every cryptic tweet from King as another bombshell. The world wasn't just watching. They were taking sides, choosing heroes and villains in a family saga gone public. Eventually, the world got what it was waiting for. T.I. broke his silence. In a carefully crafted statement, he denied the allegations, insisting he had only ever wanted the best for his son. "I may not be perfect," he admitted, "but everything I did was out of love and to prepare my children for the real world." For some, his words sounded sincere. For others, they were just damage control. The fact that T.I. didn't directly address every detail of King's claims only fueled more speculation. Critics said he was dodging the truth, while supporters argued he was taking the high road to protect family privacy. As for King, the scandal gave him something he had always wanted: his own voice in the spotlight. For the first time, people weren't just listening because he was T.I.'s son. They were listening because he had something powerful, controversial, and deeply personal to say. He doubled down on his independence, teasing new music that would reflect his journey. "This is my story," he posted on Instagram, "and I'm gonna tell it my way." Overnight, his follower count skyrocketed. Streams of his old tracks spiked, and interviews poured in from outlets eager to hear more. Of course, the skeptics remained. Some claimed this was all a calculated publicity stunt to revive his music career. Others said even if it was, it didn't erase the raw emotion in his words. Either way, King Harris had successfully flipped the script. He was no longer just a background character in T.I.'s story. He had become the author of his own narrative. What does this mean for the Harris legacy? The truth is, no one knows. Some believe time will heal the wounds, that father and son will reconcile away from the cameras. Others argue that this rift is too deep, that King's words were a point of no return. What's certain is that the Harris name will never be seen the same way again. The brand once associated with unity, hustle, and success is now entangled with whispers of betrayal, manipulation, and broken trust. And in an industry where reputation is currency, that shift could change everything. But maybe that's exactly what the king wanted. Maybe he wasn't trying to destroy the legacy. Maybe he was trying to free himself from it. In exposing the cracks in the empire, he carved a space where his voice finally mattered. Separate from the man who cast the longest shadow in his life. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. King Harris is no longer silent, and the world is listening. The story of King Harris versus T.I. is more than just family drama. It's a mirror reflecting the battles so many of us fight behind closed doors. Fame, money, and status don't erase the pain of feeling unheard, unseen, or overshadowed. King's decision to finally speak out at 29 has forced the world to ask difficult questions about power, control, and the price of silence. But now the spotlight shifts to you. What do you believe? Is King Harris a brave son finally standing up against a powerful father, breaking free from the chains of legacy? Or is this nothing more than a calculated stunt to grab headlines and carve his own lane in an industry that never fully embraced him? Every opinion matters, because stories like this live beyond the people involved. They live in the conversations we carry forward. So, we want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with friends and let the debate unfold. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this saga is far from over. The truth may be messy, but one thing's certain. The Harris family story is rewriting itself. And you won't want to miss what comes next.